Make sure you sign up for the Patreon or become a member of the channel for early access and exclusive content.
Okay, Your Honor, the government, this is for the witness. Go ahead. The government would move to admit Government Exhibit 2225 into evidence. I don't believe there's an objection. Any objection to the admission of Government Exhibit 2225? No. No, sir. No. It will be admitted without objection. You may publish. Mr. Vaughn, what's in front of you as Government Exhibit 2225? Do you see that? Yes. Who is that? Ivan. How do you know Ivan? He was one of the shorties. Was he one of the shorties back in 2016? Yes. Now, I want to direct your attention to March 29th of 2017. Did you have a conversation with Ivan about some things? Yes, I did. Was that conversation recorded? Yes, it was. At this time, Your Honor, and I don't believe that's an objection, the government will move to admit a few things. Government Exhibit 1991, 1991 1, and 1991 2, along with accompanying transcripts of 1991 1T and 1991 2T. Any objections to the admission of Government Exhibit 1991, 1991 1, 1991 2, 1991 1T, 1991 2T. Subject to the discussions at the pretrial conference, no. Same. Okay. Court's prior ruling remained the same. Go ahead, counsel. Those are in evidence. Mr. Vaughn, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Who is Evo? One of the little Goonies. Is that the person you were talking to in this recording? Yes. Where were you talking to him? Where were you when you were talking to him? We was in a car driving. What's this conversation about? About the gun store burglary. Okay. You talked about on page 3, line 97. You talked about a white dude. Do you see that? Yes. Yes, sir. Who is that? Who is that white dude? Brent Turpin. What do you know about Brent Turpin? I know he was buying guns, supplying Tuka with guns, and Tuka would bring him to the Goonies. How did Tuka know Brent Turpin, if you know? I don't know. Okay. Now, if you go further down to line 119, you had a statement of give you all the moves. Do you see that? Are you still on page 3? Yes, Your Honor, still on page 3. Yes. Could you explain to the court and the members of the jury what's a move? Basically, a move is another word for like a gun. At this time, the government will play Government Exhibit, which is already in evidence. It's 1991 2. For the transcript binder, it's 1991 2T. However, the binder itself, the tab, juxtapose a few numbers. So it says 1191 2T. I'll play it now, Your Honor. Mr. Vaughn, what are you talking about here with Ivan Wood? We were talking about the gun store that they had burglarized. Now, when you look on the bottom of the transcript, page 1, I'll say line 29 you talk about. And I'll just read from the transcript. A motherfucker had got down on one of Fofo and them who motherfucker had hit the gun store. Could you explain that terminology that you use in there? Basically, I was saying like someone that had got down on someone from the gun store. What I'm meaning is like they had killed someone who they thought was telling from the gun store burglary. Okay, Your Honor, I would like to show everyone what I believe is in evidence as Government Exhibit 2203. 2203 is in evidence you may publish. What's in front of you is Government Exhibit 2203. Do you see that? Yes. Who is that? Nate. How do you know Nate? I know Nate from the Goonies. Is Nate a Goonie? Yes. What did Nate do? What, if anything, did Nate do for the Goonies? He bought guns. He supplied us with guns. Did there ever come a time when you found out where the guns came from? Yes. How did you find that out? I was having a conversation with Nate on the phone. And were those conversations recorded? Yes, they was. And when you had those conversations, were you working with law enforcement? Yes, I was. Your Honor, at this time, the government will move to admit if I may do them all at once and then I'll just play them as I move along. Is that okay with the court? I don't think there is an objection from defense counsel. Just move in whatever you want. Okay. Let's see what the deal is. Okay. Thank you, Judge. The government would move in Government Exhibit 2106, 2106-1, and 2106-1T, which is in the transcript. Any objections to the admission of 2106, 2106-1, 2106-T? Subject to prior discussions? No. Same here. Same here. The court's ruling is the same. Those will be admitted. Go ahead. Additionally, the government would like to move to admit Government Exhibit 2111 and 2111-T. Any objections to the admission of Government Exhibit 2111 and 2111-T? Subject to our prior discussions? No. Same, Your Honor. Same. The court's ruling is the same. Those are in evidence, counsel. At this time, Your Honor, the government will play Government Exhibit 2111. In the transcript, it's in the binder behind 2111-T. I'll play it now. Mr. Vaughn, in this conversation we just heard, which is in evidence as 2111, in the transcript and evidence it's 2111-T, would you explain to the members of the jury what you are talking about there? I was having a conversation with Nate about the guns that they be going to Michigan buying. And I was trying to see how do I go about purchasing a firearm from Michigan and how much did it cost and what did I need to do to get the firearm. In these phone calls, he gave you two names, Chop and Rico. Do you recall hearing that? Yes. Do you know them? Yes, I do. When did you meet first with Chop? When is the first time you met Chop? When was the first time ever? We went to grammar school together. How about Rico? When was the first time you met Rico? We went to grammar school together. After this phone call, did you see Chop and Rico? Yes, I did. Where did you see them? In Michigan. What, if anything, did Rico do for you while you were in Michigan? While in Michigan, Rico took me to gun stores with people, and he would ask me go in there and see what you want and look at the price, and we'll go out to gun stores and look at the price, and I would give him the money for the guns, and he will have someone going to the store and buy the guns, and then after they buy the guns, I receive the guns and I'd give to him $150 for each gun that I purchased. What about Chop? What, if anything, did Chop do for you while you were up there? Chop, I visited Chop while I was up there. He sold me guns that he was selling. And what, if anything, did you do with the guns that you got from Rico? The guns I got from Rico, I gave them to the FBI. What about the guns you got from Chop? Gave them to the FBI. Let me show you what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 2215. You confirmed that was in evidence, Your Honor? I believe it was. If not, I don't see it. Okay, then just for the witness. Hang on a sec. No, it's in. Okay, may I? Go ahead, you may. What's in front of you is Government Exhibit 2215. Do you see that? Yes. Do you know that individual? Yes. Who is that? Millennium. What's his last name? I don't know. Okay. You just had a conversation with whom were you talking to on the phone calls we just listened to? Nate. What if any relationship does Millie have with Nate? They're brothers. What if any relationship does Millie and Nate have with defendant Jolicius Turman? They're his brothers. Is Millie a Goonie? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, the government will move to admit into evidence Government Exhibit 2108 and 2108T. Any objection to the admission of Government Exhibit 2108 and 2108T? Subject to the prior objection? No. Same, Your Honor. Same. Court's ruling is the same. They are admitted. Go ahead, counsel. Thank you, Judge. This is behind the 2108T tab. I'll play it now, Your Honor. Mr. Vaughn, what's a glizzy? A glizzy is another word we use for Glock. In this conversation, it seemed like there was a lot of talk about playing ball. Could you just explain to the members of the jury, what does it mean to you to play ball? To play ball is basically another word for sliding. Basically sliding on the ops, play ball. We catch somebody outside and we just shoot at them. There was some conversation in this call about a person named Winnie. Did you hear that? Yes. Who was Winnie? That's my brother. Your Honor, this is just for the witness. It's going to be 2207. Go ahead. The government will move Government Exhibit 2207 into evidence. Any objection to the admission of Government Exhibit 2207? No. No, sir. No. It will be admitted without objection. You may publish. Thank you, Judge. What's in front of you is Government Exhibit 2207. Who is that? That's my brother Robert. Did Robert have a nickname? Yes, Winnie. Was Robert a Goonie? Yes. Is Robert still alive? No, he's not. How did you find out that Robert was no longer alive? My mom and father came to visit me. Where were you when they came to visit you? I was in jail. Is that when you found out that your brother wasn't alive? Yes. When you are in jail, was there a certain way that individuals communicate with each other that are all in jail? Like inmates? Yes. Mr. Vaughn, how do inmates communicate when they're incarcerated? We either talk through vents, send a kite, or see someone going to court or something like that. When you say send a kite, could you explain what that is? That's you write on a piece of paper something to someone and pass it along to someone who could reach that person. And you say you talk through the vents. What does that mean? Basically, we have vents. We have vents in our cells. And wherever you're able to communicate with people downstairs and upstairs from you. At some point after your brother Winnie was killed, did you communicate with anybody while you were incarcerated through the vents? Yes, I did. Who was that? Jojo. Is that defendant Terman who's here? Yes, sir. Where were you when this communication took place? I was in Division 6. Were you in your cell or out of your cell? I was inside my cell. Were you inside of your cell alone? Who else was present? My cellmate. Do you remember about what time this communication happened through the vent? Can you rephrase the question, like what you trying to ask? Sure. When did this communication happen? When we was locked up in our cells. Jolicious was just downstairs from me, and I was above him, and we was communicating through the vents. What, if anything, was the conversation that you had with Jolicious through the vents? Yes, we had a conversation. I was asking him about, like, what was going on with my brother, and how did my brother get killed, and, like, what was the background of what happened. And what, if anything, did he tell you? He told me that they had taken some drugs or something from someone, and I think a gun. Let me take a step. You're using a lot of they, so who are you talking to? I'm talking to Jolicious. And Jolicious told you. You said Jolicious said they. Who's they? Him and my brother Robert. Okay. So him and your brother Robert did what? They took some drugs and a gun from someone. Do you know that person? Do you know who that person was? Yes, Tim. Who's Tim? Tim, he's the person that they say killed my brother. When you say they said, who said? The Goonies. So what happened after? Let's go further in the conversation that you're having with Jolicious Terman. What did he say next after he said that they took some drugs from Tim? He said that they had took drugs from Tim, and they had told him to, like, move around off the block. And when you say they, that's, who is that? Jolicious and my brother Robert. Okay. What did Jojo tell you happened next? He was basically like explaining to me like what's been going on. Like through the vents, he was explaining to me like what's been going on in the streets, all the shootings and stuff they've been doing, and basically like what's been going on since I've been incarcerated. Who, if anyone, did you relay this information to? I relayed it to the FBI. Okay. At some point, after relaying it to the FBI, did they give you anything? Yes, they did. What did they give you? A wire. And did you wear that wire? Yes, I did. When you were given that wire, were you able to turn it on or turn it off? No, I was not. Were you able to turn the volume up or turn the volume down? No. Did you actually touch that wire in any way? No. I want to direct your attention to February 9th of 2017. Did you have a conversation with JoJo? Yes, I did. I'm going to set the scene. Where was this conversation? The conversation, I was inside my cell and Jolicious was outside of my cell. Who was present during the conversation? It was me and Jolicious and my cellmate. He was in the room asleep. Were other people around when you were having this conversation with Jolicious? No, everybody was locked up. So, everybody is locked up. Could you just explain how Jolicious is able to be outside your cell then? Yeah, so basically it's like we was in Division 11. So it was basically like top, bottom. So the bottom come out first. Then after they done, they get put up and the top come out. But when I came, JoJo was already out. But I had to get locked up in my cell. And when I got locked up in my cell, everybody like started going to their cells and stuff. They was locking people up. So JoJo was still out. So I was asking him how you still out here? Like, I'd be popping my lock. Did you have a conversation with JoJo? Yes, I did. And what was that conversation about? It was about my brother Robert Vaughn's murder.